Fridays from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Hi guys, I'm Thierry Henry and I'm hanging out with Femi and the gang. Nigeria Info.
Ball fans, you have to come together and let's enjoy this dance. You can listen to the show even if you're based in France. This is your chance to be part of a romance on this lovely show. Game on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Huge delight to have you join us again. Well, whatever your agenda, we always try to get your attention by choosing the right agenda. We give you a lovely mixture like that gotten from a blender. So as a listener, your knowledge level over others will never get slender. Now, that's what we do for every single Motley calendar. That makes us better than every other contender because we're here to serve like a bartender. And with us, there's no retreat, no surrender. Evil plans against us is back to sender right now. Welcome back to the show, and let's just run over to Germany. Now, that's the hottest place in the world now, isn't it? Because of the fact that they have given us football with the Bundesliga returning on Saturday, Sunday, and also we saw action yesterday too, with one team running out victors after 90 minutes. Joining us right now from his base in Germany is former Super Eagles striker Jonathan Akpobere. He's a man who's achieved so much for our different national teams. He was part of the Nigerian team that won the first ever Kodak Under-16 FIFA World Cup. What we call the Under-17 World Cup these days was alongside Nduka Ogbade and co. He scored in the final as Nigeria won that title in 1985 as an Under-17 player he was back then. And then went on to play for us in the Under-20 competition in 1987. Yeah, FIFA World Youth Championship in Chile before featuring for the Super Eagles. Played majority of his club football in Germany, and that's why Germany is like his second home. Jonathan Akpobere, thank you so much for joining us on Game On tonight.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, good to see you again. It's the first time I'm speaking to you and seeing your face at the same time in years. Last time I had that privilege was...
a very long time. Yeah,
last time I had that privilege was when you were still in Calabar and I was still in Calabar. So that's as far back as 2012.
Exactly.
Crazy stuff, really.
It was fantastic in Calabar, I have to say.
It was, man. It was. I still do have some great memories of that great city, the capital of Cross River State. How's it been for you, Johnny? How have you survived amid this coronavirus issue?
Well, actually, I'm in Switzerland, and
okay.
we kind of like had the heat from northern Italy, from Piscine. You have about 70,000 people coming from Italy to work in Switzerland, and the Swiss authorities did not actually close the border early enough, and the infection started from there. But luckily they did close the border, and they have a robust health system here, and they've actually handled it very, very well.
And well, we are happy that you're safe, and I pray it remains that way until we're done with conquering this COVID-19 issue, which is basically just hitting the entire world. Doesn't look like anybody has a 100% solution now. We're praying for a vaccine sooner rather than later. So Switzerland, here I was thinking you were actually in Germany, but it's not too far apart. And is there a lockdown in that territory? Can you go back to Germany if you want to?
I am just like 5 minutes from the German border.
Oh,
it's just it's just it's the same city. It's just the border that actually separates us. But you can call it Germany because I stay here now.
Oh, great, fantastic stuff. I'm not gonna tempt you to speak your German because I know that you speak it fluently. But let me not just tempt you. It's okay, I'll be fine.
But nobody will. Well, not a lot of people will understand if I start speaking German now.
That'll cause a bit of trouble on the airwaves this evening. Well, for the record, Sarafina Napoleon, my colleague, is in the studio here with me. My name is Chuma Noli, and it's still the Game On show. Well, Jonathan Akpobere, take us through your journey representing Nigeria at different levels. 1985, winning that FIFA Under-16 World Cup, then 1987, going to the Under-20 World Cup and not really shining well enough, and then moving on to also represent the Super Eagles. What's the feeling like? What was it like, and what does it still feel like when you remember that you had the privilege of playing for Nigeria at different levels of our national teams?
Well, you have, these are three different stages, and getting into the under-17 team was actually strictly on merit, because at that time politics was not really involved in our game, although it was present but not as pronounced as it is today.
Okay.
So the coaches had less pressure, even though we still had the quota system working silently in football at that time. So the coaches had less pressure in putting up a team. So I remember I was playing what we call the Felele in Igbobi College, where Savannah Bank used to train. And from playing Felele, I started training with Savannah Bank.
Okay.
And one of those training sessions, there was the late reporter, Joe Audu. Everybody that played football in Lagos, they know Joe Audu. He's late now. And he saw me playing. And he called me and he gave me a letter to go and train with the under-17 team.
Wow.
And I remember when I was telling Coach Sabara then, because he was asking me after 2 trainings, and he was like, what team are we going to write your invitation letter for? And I told him, I said, team, you have to write a letter to my father because I don't have a team. So he's like, okay, no problem. So they wrote the letter. So I had to wait until, my dad was alone, because I knew if my mom was there, I would never have gone.
Wow.
So I waited until my mom had left the house before I gave my dad the letter, and immediately he said yes. I didn't wait for 5 minutes. I was already at the Games Village. But that altogether is kind of like a different scenario, because the under-17, we did not go from Nigeria saying we wanted to win the under-17 World Cup. We left Nigeria saying, we do not want to lose the first game.
Okay.
For me, as a player personally, all I wanted to do was to travel outside Nigeria for the first time. That I've achieved that. That was already my plus. I had an international passport, and I have sat on a plane leaving Nigeria. That was my ultimate goal at that time, making the team. Then when we got to China, we beat the hot favorites for the tournament, which was Italy at that time. We played a fantastic game. The tactics was spot on. They had almost 0 chances, and the goal we scored was in the last 5 minutes of the game. So it was 1-0. So beating Italy 1-0 was a very, very big boost for us.
Can imagine.
But even then, it was still, going into the next game as, it's another game. It's just another game. Then when we got to the semi-final, it was like, no, we are not going to lose to an African country. If an African country is going to play in the final, it was going to be Nigeria, not Guinea. So that was the way, at each stage, we were motivating ourselves with different issues. And in the final, we were like, okay, we've gotten here. We don't want to go home as losers. They are Germans. They were the favorites. They had a player who already scored plenty of goals in the qualifying and, in the rounds. And he was well known to everybody. The press was all over him, in the morning of the final. But we were really, really prepared for that game. And going up 1-0 before the end of the first half, we were very, very confident that we were going to win, because our defense was second to none in that tournament.
Impressive.
Then if you now go back to to the under 20, it was different, because then, pressure starts kicking in. I'll give you an example, although, the person I want to use as an example now is a very, very good friend of mine.
Okay.
He's going to kill me, but, he still remains my friend. He still remains my friend, but, we have to actually, say the truth where it is due, and not deviate from it because it's going to make us look good. I think before we left, after qualifying, before we left for Chile.
Okay. In 1987?
Yes, in 1987. We were moved to training camp in Nairobi. And everybody knew, a lot of people who followed that story then, Etimessin was the star player of the team. And a few weeks before we left for Nairobi, he was shot. So he was nursing a bullet wound on his I think on his right thigh. So the time in Nairobi was so valuable for the team. It was so good. We trained so hard. We trained so hard that the coaches actually wanted us to go to Chile from Nairobi. And today, I can tell you, as a professional who has actually played in Europe, if we had gone from Nairobi to Chile, the story would have been different. But Udeme, I remember Udeme was lamenting, because I was in the same room with our captain then, Willie Opara. He was lamenting in our room that they were forcing him to come back with the team to Lagos. And we all knew it was always going to be a disaster for the team to come back to Lagos. And him coming back to Lagos with the team, he was forced to carry Etimessin.
Okay.
And that was one of the biggest disorganizations in the team, because we had already moved on as a team from Etimessin, but as the coach was forced into picking Etim up from Lagos.
Yeah.
Not that we actually came to Lagos to pick up something that was valuable. No, I think that was where we lost the organization in the team, and eventually we got to Chile. Nobody. There was disorganization everywhere. With all due respect, even the chairman of the NFA at that time, there was disorganization, because I can't believe somebody like that actually understood what it entailed to be the chairman of a football association. So all of those things contributed to the disorganization of the team, that we could not actually perform on the field.
So from the highs of winning the Under-17 World Cup in 1985 to the lows of not performing well enough in the Under-20 World Cup in 1987, good enough by 1989, we went there and we had that Daman miracle experience and got to the final, losing to Portugal, who had the likes of Luis Figo and Rui Costa as part of that team. Over now to the Super Eagles. I'm just going to do this very quickly, because this is not even the major conversation we're going to have tonight. So I just wanted to give us a bit of an idea of what it's like to play for the national team. For the Super Eagles, what was the experience like, as quickly as you can?
Wow. It was pretty different. That was at the 92 Nations Cup. I actually made that team because, if I remember, West Ham was trying to convince Daniel Amokachi to be part of the team, and I don't know the circumstances that was there. I was at Papendal to train with the team, and he now took me with the team to Senegal. Even though I didn't play any game at Senegal, the experience was valuable for me in my career. But you could visibly see the presence of politics.
Wow.
In football in Nigeria, it was on a different level.
As a 92?
Of course.
Wow.
Of course, it was. The politics was at a different level. When from the under-17, you're all kids. Under 20, you're getting there. It's like it's preparing you for the Super Eagles, and you're like, okay, boom, the Super Eagles, and you see everything happening in front of you. The games, the allowances. As an under 17 player, when they give you, maybe they give you 100 naira a day, you don't complain. But at the Super Eagles, when you bring naira, everybody's like, "What are you bringing, naira? We play for dollars here. This is the Super Eagles." So there's real money, and everybody, not just the players, everybody would fight for money. And the difference at that time for me between a senior team in Europe and the way we handled the senior team in Nigeria would be everything was provided for the players first, but as a Nigerian national team player, everything would be provided for the officials first before the player is taken care of.
Whoa.
And that's a very, very big difference.
Whoa. So in the European climes and in America, perhaps more so in Europe, because that's like the capital of world football these days, everything will be prepped for the players first before others. In a Nigerian context, is at 92 for you. It's more of everything prepped for the officials before the players. I've taken note of that line, Jonathan Akpobore. Let's fast forward. Let's fast forward to when you became a big star, because you played for VfB Stuttgart in Germany, moved on to Wolfsburg too. All of this between 1997 and the year 2000. And so you were hot property, hot material for Nigerian football on the European continent. UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, joint second top scorer in that competition for 1998. One of two Nigerians who got to finals of European competitions. The other was Taribo West with his Inter Milan at the UEFA Cup final. You got to the final of the Cup Winners' Cup. Correct me if I'm wrong. And so it was a big thing. Akpobore, hot property for us. We're preparing for France 98. You were invited for as many as 5 of the 6 qualifiers or thereabout for France 98. So it was like everything was primed for you to play in that World Cup. But lo and behold, when time came for the World Cup, you were not taken to the World Cup. What happened, Jonathan?
Well, you see, when we start discussing all of these things, I don't like name dropping, because we all know in Nigeria, everybody who is into football in Nigeria, we all know all of the pressures when a Nigerian team is preparing to go to the World Cup. I actually did not want to be a part of that spectacle. Going through the qualifiers, it was already chaotic, but we made the best out of it when Philippe Troussier came into the team. Then we started playing consistent football, and we qualified very comfortably. When we qualified, I think the last game we now played was in Guinea, and that was I think we lost that game. I can't remember if it was 1-0 or maybe 2-0. We lost the game, but we already qualified. That was when we saw there was already going to be problems, because the game against Kenya in Lagos was a fantastic game. We beat them very well, very comfortably, and there was this hint that Philippe Troussier was not going to follow us to the World Cup, even though we went with him to that game in Conakry. So there was already unrest in the team. Then before I even got to Germany, we already had the rumors that, look, there's a new coach that is coming into the team, Philippe Troussier. They've let Philippe Troussier go, and they are trying to restructure the team. So restructuring the team is like, okay, who belongs to this team? Then you have some people who believe that they are responsible for the Nigerian team, that it is their birthright, And I am not that kind of player who would say, okay, it is do or die. I want to play in the World Cup. Now, I can't do that. I never begged to play for Nigeria. I will never, I made that vow that I will never beg anybody to beg somebody to come and play for Nigeria. I never did that. I never wanted to do it.
Okay.
And even at the time when the list was given out, when everybody was saying, look, you have to talk to this, you have to talk to B, you have to talk to A, I said, all these people were not there when we were playing the qualifying. Then why are they all appearing now for me to start talking to different people to make the team to the World Cup? So I just went on holiday.
Wow.
I just went on holiday. Yes. After the final, before anything was heard, I was already in America on holiday.
I'm going to be back after a quick commercial break, and I trust you to stay with us. For the records, this is 99.3 Nigeria, and for the Game On show with Femi and the gang, tonight represented by Chumando and Tarafina Napoleon, joining us all the way from Switzerland, close to the border to Germany. He's a former Super Eagles striker, Jonathan Akpobere, who's been telling us about his experience winning the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Then he was Under-16 in 1985. First ever World Cup that was for that age grade. Nigeria won it. Johnny was part of the team, scored in the final too. Playing in the Under-20 World Cup in 1987, and then going to the Nations Cup with Nigeria, winning silver in 1992 under Clemens Westerhoff, before missing out on being part of the party to France in 1998, the World Cup for sure. We have more he's going to be telling me, really, because I would like you to respond to, I'm sure you've heard the thoughts of some of your former Super Eagles stars too. Cezelle Denwinge was speaking to the NFF media team and said something about coaches, many national team coaches during his playing days who were also player managers and player agents, and the fact that sometimes they'll pick a player that is not as skillful as another player because that player is under their management team and they want to sell that player. So they'll play that player and the Super Eagles ahead of somebody who's better. And also the report of bribery to make it to the national team. I've not asked you that as regards France 98 because I'm coming to it. Jonathan will tell us this after this commercial break. So don't touch it down, guys. We'll be back on Game On shortly.
No problem. But the thing is the picture still the picture is still okay? Okay. Yeah.
Hi, this is Rio Ferdinand. For the best in sports, always listen to Femi and the Gang on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
So we return to keep you on track and ensure that footballing wise there's nothing you lack, as together we're set to hit the mark and take you out of the dark with our presentations. Back, and I hear someone say hag. Femi and the Gang are back live on 99.3 Nigeria Info. So I feel I just had to say the hack thing on my behalf. All right, I'm sure you guys heard when I was telling Johnny, hey, we have 3 minutes, just stay on standby. You know, sometimes it's good to give you guys this behind the scene feeling of how we bring all of this stuff to you on this lovely dial that always hit your airwaves with style. We still do have joining us from Switzerland, former Super Eagles striker Jonathan Akpobore. By the way, there's more to come on the show, all right? We have reports from England where 6 players have tested positive for coronavirus as they're hoping to restart the season. And also the Italian Serie A too. Now they have a new date that has been given to them by the government to have the resumption to this 2019-2020 season. So that's to come later on the show. You don't want to miss that part, including the NFF and the plan to extend the contract of Gernot Rohr, the boss of the Super Eagles. Keep your thoughts coming through. Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. Also WhatsApp, and as well as the phone lines. That will be buzzing in the beats. For those of you who do have questions for the former Super Eagles striker, Johnny, we'll give you a chance to speak to him. By the way, we're live on Facebook, all right? Nigeria Info FM Lagos on Facebook. You can watch this interview live now. It's not just being broadcast on radio. It's also live on Facebook, so you can see what Switzerland looks like on the background of Jonathan Akpobore. Welcome back, Jonathan. So before we went in for that commercial break, you were saying something about your absence in the France 98 team. I'm very keen to have clarity on this one because, again, like I said, to be joint second top scorer in the Cup Winners' Cup and to be one of only 2 Nigerians to have gotten to a European final that year, and for one who had played as many as 5 qualifiers, there's basically no justification as to why you were not part of the France 98 team. Let's bring this into the conversation. I'm sure you have read all of these stories from the media. Chinedu Basiogbuke, who played for the Super Eagles in the 2010 World Cup, saying that he was asked to pay bribe to be part of the 2014 World Cup squad. Most recently, Osaze Odemwinge, while speaking to the NFF media team, saying that some coaches for the national team were also player managers and agents. So sometimes they'll play their players who are not as good as others just because they want those players to have good deals in Europe. So for you, do you think that your absence from France 98 was as a result of such? Did anybody ask you for anything? You said you didn't want to beg for it though, but is there anything else that we do not know about?
There's obviously there's plenty, you know. There's plenty of, you know, whenever Nigeria is going to the World Cup, there's always plenty to talk about, you know. I don't think, apart from the under-17 team that I went with to China, I don't think Nigeria has ever gone to a tournament with its strongest team, because It has always been the way. Even Westerhoff was everybody knew Westerhoff was instrumental for Finidi moving to Ajax. You know, Westerhoff was instrumental for Babangida moving to Holland. Most of the players that went to Holland, Westerhoff was involved in all of those transfers, and it was significant for him also. My absence in at the '98 World Cup was kind of similar, because like I told you, you know, the atmosphere with the Super Eagles is very, very different from all our national teams at that time. But now the pressure is even more on the coaches from the under-17 level now all through to the Super Eagles, where, you know, the statement I heard Osaze say, if anybody is actually disputing it, then maybe it might be on the part of the officials that do not actually know what is going on under the table or behind some people's back, because there are so many Nigerian players that played at the youth level. If you ask them now, they will tell you off camera that, look, this is what we had to do to represent Nigeria. They can't come in front and tell you this is exactly what has happened to them, because by the time they say all of these things, it is game over for the national team for them. They will not be invited again.
Okay.
You know, my own time for the 98 World Cup, it is a rumor, first of all, because that's the only one I am going to disclose to everybody, because in a book I am going to write, there's going to be the detail of everything step by step. But a coach in our national team actually told people in a gathering that I will not make the team going to France 98. That's immediately after we qualified. We were still on the plane coming from Kenya when he said that. You know, so you can imagine. So you see, I read so many stories from different ex-international actually attacking Obasi. You know, everybody has a different story regarding all of these issues. You have to let them speak out. You know, you're not actually encountering something like that does not mean it doesn't exist. You know, you have to sit down, actually listen to these guys, because it is very, very important for our national team. If we want our national team to be doing well, if an ex-international would actually write, you know, challenging Obasi and telling Obasi that, you know, that Uchebo and Shola Amiobi were actually better than Obasi going to that World Cup.
Yeah.
Would somebody tell me that for me to believe? That's absolute nonsense. You know, with all due respect, we know football. We have played football. So nobody can actually come and tell me that, look, this is what we did, or this is what we did, or this is what we did. You follow it. You want to play for the national team. You want the national team to do well. You want to field the best players, and you are going to a tournament. You don't go to a tournament with 11 players. You go to a tournament with 22. The 22 players are relevant at every stage, you know, of the tournament. If you go with 11, you will definitely not maybe when you qualify from the first round, you will not make it beyond that, because everybody would be tired. You know, that's the way it is. But if anybody is telling one story and saying, no, that does not exist, please. We've already seen a Nigerian trainer, a Nigerian coach, an assistant coach collecting money on the documentary on BBC. What are we talking about? It is time for the NFF to actually do an investigation into these things, and, you know, they eradicate all of these rumors if they think it is rumors.
Because you know that the accusation that goes the way of some of these ex-players is, when you guys speak, and pardon my use of the word you guys, because you are an ex-player, so I'm looking at it from that holistic context. The accusation is that you never name names. You just say, somebody did this did this. And people are like, you know, if this happened, call names so people can be investigated, that you cannot transform the system if you're shying away from having to call names. And that's where some people have a bit of issues with this. So you missed out on France 98 after getting bronze with Nigeria in 92. Under Clemens Westerhoff, I said silver earlier, pardon me. 1990 we won silver, 92 bronze, 94 we won gold. In 2000 you finally got silver. Ghana, Nigeria 2000, we lost to Cameroon in the final. We'll not forget in a hurry that penalty from Victor Ikpeba that crossed the line. We wish there was goal line technology back then. Maybe we would have won that AFCON that very year. But, you know, moving on now to the present-day Super Eagles journey. Gernot Rohr is the boss of the side. He's German. And if there's anybody who has German connections, you do. So you understand the quality of football in that country. What have you made of his reign as boss of the Super Eagles? He's been there for 3.5 years. And there are reports now that there should be an extension for him because his current deal expires by next month. So are you for or against a renewal of Gernot Rohr's contract, and how well do you think he's performed as Super Eagles coach?
Well, Gernot Rohr has not actually done more than what a Nigerian coach has done before. You know, Gernot Rohr is not in this generation of football coaches that we have in Germany. Gernot Rohr was actually an old school coach when I was playing.
Wow.
So if you look at the players that we have now, we have a completely new generation of players in the Super Eagles now, and the way that they play football is quite different. I think I was reading some articles on Twitter the other day, and some people were actually putting teams together, the names of the players together, and say, okay, if we have all of these players, then definitely nothing can go wrong. Of course, something can go wrong. If you put all of these players together and you don't put a coach who knows actually how to arrange these players on the field, then you will lose even to an under-17 team. If you don't bring that organization into the team and you have 11 messes on the field, if you don't have a good coach, you will lose. At the last World Cup that Gennaro went to, we did not do well. And he was exposed. And everything I took from that World Cup was Gennaro cannot give us what he does not have. He has given us everything that he has. He cannot improve more than that. We should move on. It's a national team. It is not because we qualified for the Nations Cup because we did not qualify maybe 2 previous times. That is a yardstick for him. No, we want to get to the semi-final or even the final or even win the World Cup. We were the first African nation to win the Olympics. I was there. I saw it. I want to see a Nigerian team win the World Cup before I die. So we should change Gennaro. He is not good enough. He has done enough. That's just the point I'm trying to make.
Wow. That's as straight to the point as it gets, really, coming through from you there, Johnny, as to the fact that you think he's given us all and just cannot go any further. I'll go back now to the phone lines for the listener listening to us right now. You can call in. I'll pick just about 2-3 calls of questions for the former Super Eagles striker Jonathan Akpobiri. You can dial 0700 993 993 993. That's 0700 993 993 993. This is Game On Nigeria Info. We still do have ahead coming exciting footballing action from England, Italy, and Germany too. But for now, we're focused on the Super Eagles, the number one national team for our country. And who better to give us an insight into things happening around there than a man who has featured for us at 3 different levels, under 17, under 20, and also the Super Eagles stage in Akpobiri. So let's get to the phone lines. When you call in, please turn off the volume of your radio set so we don't have a hold back, else you may have to call back. It's Chuma Noli and Sarafina Napoleon who are running things tonight. Good evening, welcome. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, you're live on Game On.
Yeah, my name is Christian. I used to call once in a while.
Okay.
But I feel like calling. My name is Christian. I'm calling from Abuloshi. I'm at work.
Okay.
You see, me, English, I don't care where the coach comes from. But let me tell you something. Let me ask you one question. Can you please tell Nigerians? What's his name, the coach you are talking about?
Raw.
He's a German. Which team have he coached in Europe? Or the German that he came from, that we are just applying German. Which team has he coached in Germany that won the German Cup, that won the FA Cup, that won at least one thing? Where is Mother from? He's not from Ethiopia, but one of these African countries. Which team has he coached here? Nigeria is the kind of country that will bring coaches to exploit us. Then we expose them to the world. They will go back and do something else in another country where we'll pay them thousands of millions of dollars.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to know all those ones that say they want to pay them in naira or what. That's not the English. That's not the problem we have in Nigeria. What record do they have? We want white man, one white. Yeah, I prefer our Oshodi United team. The coaches are more better than these ones. Apart from West Ham that we brought to Nigeria, they based on we were running a military regime. Then he has the access to go to the sports
to the government directly. Okay, all right. So you're not a fan of Gennaro remaining as Super Eagles coach. Is that what you're saying?
We will be. I bet 10 Nigerians.
All right.
I bet find one day maybe tell Nigeria as the profile for Germany and in Mama Land.
Thank you for calling in. Well, he played football in Germany to the highest level, that I can tell you. And of course, he's also coached some national teams here in Africa. That should count for something, I guess. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, you're live.
Yeah, thank you. I am Balogun from Mero.
Okay.
Yes. You see, first time caller. I'm very lucky to meet you this night.
Oh, good to have you join us.
He has said it all.
Wonderful.
So I think that is the person who knows the situation of everything. And he has said it. The man should learn. He should leave. Let us get a coach. That is it. Thank you.
All right, so he's saying that he buys into the sentiment of Jonathan Akpobere on Gennaro Raw. Moving on. Hello, good evening.
Hey, Chuma, good evening. How you doing?
I'm okay, man.
Yeah, my name is Kendi.
Nice, fire on.
Okay. Just to be clear, as far as I'm concerned, Gennaro Raw has done absolutely nothing. There is absolutely nothing special about what Gennaro has done. First of all, he finished third in the Nations Cup. Before he came, and he finished third 6 times or 7 times.
But there's also the argument that before he came, we had not even qualified for a couple of Nations Cups.
Oh, eventually that would have come to an end. However, the next coach would have showed up, would have taken on to the Nations Cup. It's as simple as that. That's the truth. Any coach that would have, of course, you don't expect Nigeria to miss 4, 5, 6 Nations Cups in a row. I mean, Cameroon missed 2, and they also returned. Ghana missed 1, they returned. So the possibility of Nigeria missing 4 Nations Cups is absolutely impossible. We're a big nation, we're a big footballing nation. We had our downside where we didn't qualify for 2 Nations Cups. Next one, of course, we're going to qualify. And down to the Nations Cup itself, we finished third. Again, nothing special. In the World Cup, we were under pressure for 10 minutes. All you needed to do was make a change. Make a change that will impact the game. For my couch, of course, people might say armchair critics. For my couch, it was obvious what needed to be done. And Mr. Raw, standing on the touchline, did absolutely nothing. Of course, you expect the players on the bench to be angry because, of course, you should have made a substitution.
Okay, so I get it from you again to that you don't buy into Raw having an extension.
Let me round up.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, Raw has absolutely nothing to offer to Pirates. Look at the players we have now. Look at this.
Okay, thank you for calling in. I have to let you go, so we have other callers too. 3 callers not buying into Raw. Johnny, what have you done to my callers? Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, you're live on Game On. Take it away.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chuma and Sarafina. This is Kifosha.
Okay, nice. Jonathan Akpobere is listening to you too.
Okay, Jonathan, good evening.
Good evening.
My question go to Jonathan first. He's from which part of the Nigeria? That's one question. And then, Gennaro, what is doing in the national team? If I've already discovered a new player for Nigeria, what Jonathan just said this evening is very good for Nigeria to move on. He's doing a very good job to discover a new player for us. It's just for us to look for a better coach to assemble these people to use them to give Nigeria trophy. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for calling in. Johnny's going to respond to your question in a bit, but let me get a few more calls now. Good evening. Oh, I'm sorry about that one. That connection just went dead. Call us again if you can. It's a Game On show. I'll take a couple more calls and then we can go back to Jonathan Akpobere to wrap up this conversation. Good evening. Hello, good evening.
Yes, hello, Chuma. Good evening.
Hi, you're live on Game On.
Okay, fine. My name is Felix. I'm calling from Adra.
Welcome, Felix.
Okay, what Jonathan said is the truth. I have a junior brother that is a very good footballer. They asked him to bring money when he was in under-20 camp. So Nigeria, it is true what Jonathan said and what Chinedu Obasi said.
How certain are you of this allegation of yours?
I'm certain because he's my brother. Even the late Coach Amadou Shuaibu was his coach when he was at Framas at Iyabaye. So he's a very good footballer. He's in Abuja right now, sir. So it was one under 20 that their assistant coach, that Sata was the coach, but the assistant coach now asked them to bring money. That was how my brother was not able to make it. He won 4 FA Cup with Bendel Insurance. So it is true. Nigeria is done for. It's true.
Will you mind telling us this, your brother, who he is? Or you just want to leave it at that?
No,
I can tell you now.
Definitely.
Maybe I will just
Okay.
follow you up.
he
I
will
can tell
never
you his
play for
name.
Nigeria.
Okay, don't worry. You can send it through WhatsApp because I'd like to investigate further. Okay? Please.
Okay.
I'll read out the WhatsApp number for you
It is
soon.
true. It is true. It's just unfortunate. So
Okay.
I thank Jonathan Akpobori. May God bless him. It is true.
All right, thanks for calling in because that's a damning allegation, really. So I'd like to follow up on your own comment. Johnny, you want to come in? Sorry.
Well, Chuma, it's not just it's not just the Nigerian players that are in Nigeria. You see, Nigeria going out. Our FA they are going out. Looking for players to come and represent Nigeria. They beg some players to come. Okay, they talk to their families. After they become established already. There are stories about some players who came to play they wanted to represent Nigeria at the under-20 level. They did not give them the time of day. And one of the famous ones was the captain of the German under-20 team that actually beat us. I think, I can't remember what year that they played, but I know I watched that game, and the person who actually scored that goal was the Nigerian boy whose mother came and was begging for them to just give his son the time of day to play for Nigeria. But they were not given that time. So the boy came back and he played for Germany. Unfortunately for him, he played against Nigeria. So if we see all of these things, we see it also in athletes, athletes that come back. Have you heard the story of Joshua already when he came to Nigeria? Everybody comes to Nigeria. We are proud of Nigeria. We want to represent Nigeria. But please, it should just be the best players that should represent Nigeria, not the ones that have money. I can assure you that you have so many talented players. They don't have money. They cannot pay what they are asking them to pay, but they want to represent Nigeria. And they are the best you can get in football in Nigeria, really.
Thank you for sharing. I'm very keen to have us, I think it's high time names were thrown into this thing. And I'm hoping that in the coming days and weeks, these accusations will be substantiated as names come in. My colleague, Sarafina Napoleon, is in here. You cannot see her because she's on the other side of the divide on a different microphone, but you can hear her voice at least. And I think she has a question for you.
Hi, Johnny.
Okay. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Good evening to you. I just want to ask you one question, which is, how has life been outside football?
Wow. It's been a while somebody asked me that kind of question. I tell you what, I think, as a striker, and every team I played at, I was expected to score goals. Every game that you take part in, you are expected to score not just one goal, as many as possible. So that pressure right from the time I was 17 playing for the Super Eagles, then going to Brooklyn, playing for Brooklyn College, then coming to Germany, the pressure has been consistently mounting. And at the highest level, after every second week, if you don't score a goal, there's always a problem, because it is not just from the journalists that you get the pressure from. Everybody in your team is wondering, because if you don't score a goal, they can't win the game. So that pressure, if you can live with that pressure up to a certain time, when you retire, it becomes a sigh of relief that you wake up every morning and you're like, oh, thank God I don't have to score a goal this weekend. Everything you have to do is actually avoid your friends when you play against them kicking you. That is what you actually get to worry about. So it has been challenging when you say living outside football, but there are so many things you can do to actually while away your time when you are not playing football. I am still into football business, but the time that has been dedicated to playing is different from the time that you used to manage. You manage players now, you have a lot of time to yourself for exercising. I play tennis, and I play golf.
Nice.
So those are the two things that keep me busy most of the time these days.
All right, Johnny. I have time sign right now to know that I need to wrap up with this interview. I'm enjoying speaking to you, and if I had my way, I'll talk to you until 10 p.m. But I have to prepare to let you go. I'll dedicate the final minutes of this interview to the listener again through the phone line, so they can speak to you just before we let you go. But I'll ask this one personal question, the last from my end before the callers come in, and which is home-based Super Eagles, Johnny. You spoke about the best playing for the Super Eagles. Yes, I know. But when will we start having home-based players who play for clubs in the NPFL, play for the Super Eagles? Are you an advocate for, there's been different thoughts. Victor Ekpeba told Nigeria Info, our Port Harcourt station, that only the best players have to play for the Super Eagles. Assistant coach of the team now, Joseph Yobo, told us that he wants these players, when they come to camp, they should not be scared or intimidated. They should play as well as they were playing before they were invited to the Super Eagles setup. Under Gernot Raw's leadership, home-based players have not really had that much of an opportunity to play on a consistent basis, except Ikechukwu Ezenwa. What's your take on home-based players in the Super Eagles setup?
You see, I have to use the timeline. Although the level of game is a little bit higher, the speed is higher now, but the level of development in the Nigerian football at this time is very, very bad. I have to tell you. At the time I left Nigeria, we had several players from Nigeria playing in Belgium, and the time frame for them to actually acclimatize into the European system would be between 3 to 6 months. But right now, when you bring a Nigerian player to play directly in the Bundesliga from the Nigerian league, you're just kidding. It's not possible. Whoa. It's not possible because the level of football is just too low right now. Somebody asked me the question that, look, why don't we have a lot of Nigeria performing the way we performed in the Bundesliga? It is quite simple. Even though at that time the level of football in Nigeria was very, very high, we had to go through some learning curve. JJ Okocha played for Neunkirchen in the 3rd division before moving up to Frankfurt. I played severally in 2nd division teams before I came into the 1st division. Those are the learning curves that we use to acclimatize into the German football system. Physically, we have good players. Skillfully, we have good players. But the tactics and the discipline is very, very hard to come by in football in Nigeria. That comes to coaching, and the coaches should not wait. I keep saying it. They should not wait for the FA to forward their careers in coaching. A lot of people should actually sponsor themselves to come to Europe and get the badges on their own, enlighten themselves, not waiting for somebody to actually put them in the national team and sponsor them to Europe. No, some of the football players use their own money to buy tickets to come to trial in Europe. What is stopping the coaches from doing the same? So they should not wait for anybody. The level of coaching in Nigeria is very, very low. Wow. And our league is suffering from it. And I have to add this. In our league, we have, I don't know, but I guess we have almost about 80% of synthetic pitches in Nigeria. It is very, very bad for those who want to play in the Super Eagles because they will never play on a synthetic pitch. The synthetic pitch is not the best thing for our league. They should review it and look at it and change it.
Thank you so much for that revelation from your own perspective. 0700 993 993 993. I'll pick just 5 calls, then we're going for a commercial break, and so we can let Jonathan Akpobore go and move on to international football stories on this Game On show. So time to pick the calls again. You can go on Facebook, Nigeria Info FM Lagos on Facebook, and you can watch us live while this interview is going on. Don't say I did not tell you at least. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. Truman Nolly. Good evening, Safina.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jonathan in Switzerland. I am happy about this guy. He is sincere. He is clear in his analysis. He is selfless in his analysis. You see, I am happy about his verdict on Genetro. Everybody knows that Genetro is good for our team. You had Osimhen commenting on the discipline he got from Emmanuel Amunike, and the majority, some of our major players were groomed by Emmanuel Amunike. So I don't see any reason why Genetro should be given any contract. Chumanoli, please, I want to appeal. I am not a football activist, because if I am a football activist, I will go to court tomorrow and stop
Okay.
And I want to ask Martin.
Oh my word, there seems to be this interference with your call. I'm so sorry. I'll have to let you go now. I'm so sorry. It's not pleasant to the ear, but I got your point. You think it's high time Gernot Rohr moved on from being coach of the Super Eagles. That interference spoiling my party. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Shuba.
Yeah, please speak up. What's your name or where are you calling from?
Well, my name is Peter. I'm calling from Apapa.
All right, take it away.
Now, what we're discussing about the situation in Nigeria football, we're having a very bad system. You understand? Number one, you see Jonathan is speaking from Switzerland. He's telling you the reality of football. What is happening in Nigeria League is that if you don't have money, you cannot play football in Nigeria. The best is not always available, because the people, you collect money. Even the NFL president, Amadou Pini, if you go to Warri, where he comes from, he has destroyed so many careers of young players that will come to play in the Super League.
Do you have proof? And it's not just about saying it on radio. Can you prove these statements of yours so we don't just accuse people wrongly?
No, Chuma. This is what is always happening. When you say you have proof, it's not a thing that you will just come around there and talk about on radio this way. But what I'm telling you is that Jonathan, as he's there speaking to you, and other Nigerians listening to you on this radio, they know that if you don't pay money, you cannot play football in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for calling in. Good to hear from you. By the way, it's a platform where we have to verify things we share. So if you come in and say the current NFF president killed people's career, I'd like you to give us examples so it doesn't look like you're just anybody can call into a show and make blanket accusations. But I appreciate the fact that you called in, and I'd like to have evidence for the other thing you said before I take it seriously. Thank you for calling in. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Chuma.
Yes.
This is Friday from Ibolere.
Okay.
Yeah, good one from Jonathan. I don't know if Jonathan is still listening to me now.
He is.
I am.
Yeah, please, I want to ask Jonathan. See, Jonathan is one of the few Nigeria players I respect so much. From under 17 to under 20 to the Super Eagles. You can look the space of his career. He has a very long career. I want to ask you, why is it that other players who perform so well in underage competition, they don't have that good in the Super Eagles? Is it that Jonathan used his real age? Did he do what others did not do? See, another thing, Chuma, is this. I always say this. In the name of Jonathan, we have so many good players, and Jonathan was still coming out to play. If it is this period now that we have a player that is as good as Jonathan, please, I tell you that the Nigeria president will even beg him to be the captain of the national team.
So you feel we don't have quality anymore these days like we had then?
See, Chuma, we don't need to hide this.
Okay, Friday. Listen, Johnny wants to respond to you straight away.
Thank you very much.
We have a lot of gifted players in Nigeria. I have been around Nigeria. I have been around Nigeria and I have seen a lot of gifted players. The problem with Nigeria in developing young players is that we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the technical know-how, the coaching of the kids, the way they are being handled here in Europe is quite different. That is why I keep saying our coaches in Nigeria, they need to spend money. Football is money. You have to spend money to earn money. You cannot hold a Nigerian player and you are developing the player. By the time he gets to 17 and you don't place him somewhere that is higher, that would actually challenge his intellectuals in football, his quality starts dropping automatically. And that is what we are having in Nigeria now. We have so many players who cannot play in our league teams. Why? Because they are not given the time. I started playing at Julius Berger. Immediately I came back from the Under-17 World Cup. I started playing in the National League team. That is unprecedented at that time. Talk less of now. If you check most of the teams now in Nigeria, and the average player of a team in Nigeria would be between 24 or 25. It is wrong.
But they'll tell you, we see many who are 18 now, as in. Don't you see?
Well, no, you see, I can't, in that respect, I have to respect everybody who says, okay, I am 18, I am 17, I am 16, I am 12. I respect, because I wasn't there when the person was born. But at the end of the day, how long did you carry your career? How long? That is why I plead also with the NFF. You have to bring everybody together. In Europe, I don't want to compare Nigeria to any of the European countries. But in Germany, by the time you are 10 years old, you have a player pass. So everybody, you have a record. Anywhere you go to in Germany, the records are there. They just pull up your record and your date of birth is there from when you are 10 years old. So if we have this, there will be no room for anybody to say, okay, I want to do this or that.
Okay. Wow. 2 more calls. I had seen the light blinking, letting me know I need to go in for that commercial break. 2 final calls for Jonathan Akpoghere, and then we can allow him rest in Switzerland tonight. He needs to go to bed. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, Juma, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, Joe Baba.
All right, so we're listening to you.
Yeah, I want to ask Johnny, the last club he played for the domestic before his European sojourn, the number 2. Yes, he just said it so easily because of the kind of person he is, as in how he did not make that France 98 work. I was actually, even as very, very young that I was then, I knew about what he did in German Bundesliga, how he painted that league, with fantastic goals. So I think I still need to know 1 or 2 more reasons, though he has said a lot about it, and he does not want to say much, maybe because of he doesn't want to accuse anybody. But did you see anything fishy around him not making that, aside from only the coach that was sent packing, Philippe Troussé, a new coach came? Did you see anything fishy?
Okay.
So that is my question. Thank you very much.
Okay, Joe Baba, he's noted that. Johnny, just hold on. So let's pick the final call so you can respond to both questions at once. Thank you. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, you're live on Game On.
My name is Ujaji. Calling from Orele, Germany.
Nice, we're listening to you.
Yeah, I think Jonathan has said it all. Philippe Troussé, the new Nigeria coach.
Gernot Rohr.
Gernot Rohr is an old stuff. Belongs to the old school, so we need a fresh idea coach that will take us to move on. Jonathan, it's nice to hear from you. It's been a very nice time to hear from you. So have a good day.
All right, have a blessed night. Thank you for calling in. So, yeah, Johnny, you can respond to that question of which was the final team in Nigeria you played for, the club you played for before you went to Europe, and then, okay, the other one now, Wahala question, that France 98 gist.
Julius Berger was one of the best teams then in the Nigerian league. I was privileged to play with the likes of Ladi Babalola, Deule Adekola, prominent players in the Nigerian league then. And I was privileged to play with a coach like Joe Errico. Joe Errico actually gave me more than enough, because by the time I got to Europe, There was nothing surprising. Everything that I was doing at that time at Julius Berger was what I saw in Europe here. So it wasn't actually a surprise for me when I got to Germany.
Fantastic, Julius Berger. Man, those kind of teams, we don't have them anymore. They were on the same level with Sharks, Calabar Rovers, and so on and so forth. Teams that used to do well in the league back in the day, but things have changed these days. Well, it really has been an exhausting conversation, this one. I wish it could last even longer, but I've spent an hour. I thought it was going to be 30 minutes because I had so much, but man, when you have Johnny with his knowledge and his insights, you have to allow him pour it. I wish he could even pour out more, but for the fact that we have to go into European football, I need to let him go now. Former Super Eagles striker and former representative for Nigeria in the Under-17 World Cup in 1985 that we won, and the Under-20 World Cup, Jonathan Akpobere, joining us from Switzerland. Thank you, Johnny, for speaking to us in Game On.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, have a blessed night rest now.
Take care. Good night.
All right, good night too. Off now to a quick commercial break on the show. When we return, we have reports for you from England and also the whole talk about Italy, the Serie A, and how they want to restart the season. This is Game On Nigeria Info. We'll be back in a bit. Stay with us.